recording as well. So.
Thank you all. Jennifer Green, I'm still not able to log into PrimeGov.
Yes, Brian?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why you're not listed as one of the members of this meeting in the meeting details. And for some reason, when I try to add you, your name is not coming up on the list. But I mean, I saw you're in. Oh, there you are. There you are.
Brian, did you take care of that DUI?
Jim, I'm sure it's definitely personal.
Hey, I'm going to try to help Commissioner Salyer. If you could, please wait to start the meeting until I get Commissioner.
So, Brian, would you like me to try and reset your password?
Let me, if that's useful. I'm getting the same error message.
But you said you've logged into PrimeGov before?
Yes, I have.
That's so strange.
However, it's after 4 o'clock, and if there are no problems.
Can we wait for one more commissioner to arrive?
Of course, Robbie. I'm just thinking about my technical I'm having to have a public conversation with Jennifer Green. And also,
that go for now.
Jennifer Swan, I think we can still fulfill all of our requirements of the open meetings, and you record votes. I'm not able to vote. I was very hopeful all of us could use PrimeGov and do our voting today. I am, with Rita's permission as well, I think we can proceed when we have everyone on the call. I'm not using PrimeGov because I cannot log in. Is that correct, everyone?
Is anybody using that?
It's working for me.
It popped up for me.
I think my point of clarification is if I'm not logged into PrimeGov, we are all actively having a meeting and we're not breaking any rules.
That is correct, Commissioner. This is Jennifer Swan. I will be maintaining your records of voting as well as having this meeting recorded.
Perfect. Thank you all.
And then Jennifer, you'll be doing voice vote for everything to keep everything uniform, correct? Jennifer and Mark?
That is correct.
Thank you so much. Okay, Chairman, I was not able to get a hold of Commissioner Salyer, but I have left her a voicemail. So I'm hoping that she'll be able to get into the meeting. She might be late.
And we have quorum, correct?
And we do have quorum. Is
And
our recording on?
Yes.
We are recording.
Great, thank you.
So we're okay to proceed with the meeting?
We are.
All right. This meeting is called to order of the Oklahoma City Arts Commission. Today is Monday, July 20th. Welcome everyone. We now have a quorum and we're beginning the meeting. As you are aware, this meeting is live streamed from remote locations. We want to remind everyone that as you have arrived in our virtual meeting, we have muted your mic as instructed in the agenda. Those who called or emailed us in advance to let us know your name, contact number, and agenda item you wish to speak about will be recognized first. Your text, email, or call will not be received once this meeting has begun. Before the Arts Commissioners vote on each item, I will ask if any members of the public wish to speak. Since you are muted, when I call on you, please unmute yourself. On a phone, you'll use *6 and then state your name and address for the record before you speak. On a desktop or laptop, you'll hover your cursor over the microphone icon to remove the diagonal red line. If we lose our connection for this meeting for more than 15 minutes, we will resume at our next regularly scheduled Arts Commission meeting on August 17th at 4 p.m. We will now call attendance. So Mark, will you please conduct the roll?
Yes, Commissioner. Commissioner Chambers,
Present.
Commissioner Bailey,
Present.
Commissioner Booker,
Here.
Commissioner Cooper,
Present.
Commissioner Eichmann,
Present.
Commissioner Kovach, Commissioner Loftus,
Here.
Commissioner Salyer, Commissioner Stewart,
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney,
Here.
Commissioner Eichmann,
Here.
Commissioner Hassenbeck, Commissioner Hill, Mr. Chair, I have completed roll call. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Mark. Moving on to agenda item 2, approval of meeting minutes from the June 15th meeting. If there are no edits or adjustments to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion in a second.
So move.
Second.
That was Commissioner Loftus and Commissioner Eichmann. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Mark or Jennifer, whomever, please conduct the roll call vote.
Randy, you're muted.
Commissioner Chambers,
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Booker,
Aye.
Commissioner Cooper,
Aye.
Commissioner Eichmann,
Aye.
Commissioner Loftus,
Aye.
Commissioner Salyer, Commissioner Stewart,
Aye.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that completes the roll call of the commissioners that are present.
The motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 3.
Just a minute, I think, did we ask Commissioner Kovach for his vote? And it appears that he is trying to speak, but we cannot hear him. I know when we first called attendance at the beginning, I never heard him talk. Commissioner Kovach, did you vote? So for some reason, we're not hearing you.
I can see him, and if I can add verbal description to his actions, he's saying thumbs up and yes.
Right. We just cannot hear it.
Does this qualify in our new virtual world of Open Meetings Act rules?
Let me check. I need to check with our legal counsel. We're in the middle of a meeting. Yes, and yes, it is confirmed that he can thumbs up, so we're going to need to wait for that. And let Commissioner Salyer know that I left her a voicemail message of how to join, but we've already started the meeting, and we would love for her to join us. Okay, thank you. Okay, great.
And Commissioner Kovach, I will keep an eye on you to make sure we record your votes. Same. So back to agenda item 3. Items for discussion action. Arts Commission case number AC 20000021. Let's Stay Together. Mural by Dusty Gilpin, address 820 North Classen Boulevard for Classen Inn. Robbie, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, can everyone see case 3A on their screen? Perfect. So can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is Classen Boulevard and Northwest 8. And this is the hotel. And this north wall here is the location of the mural. Here is the design. It's 16 feet, 4.5 inches across, 11 feet high. Let's stay together. Before I even processed this for the applicant, I did contact Development Services to make sure that this would in no way be considered a sign. So I want to make sure that does not distract the commissioners. And then here is the very extraordinary art marker. But what I wanted to tell you about the north wall, north facing end of the Classen Inn Motel in Midtown, if you haven't been by, this is a 2-story, almost 5,000 square foot motel. It was constructed in 1962 and it was purchased in 2019 by Mason Realty Investors with plans to renovate it to boutique status. I believe they're going to start accepting reservations on the 1st of August. Has a really great location, being on Classen Boulevard in Midtown and near St. Anthony's Hospital. And what they're trying to do with all of the design and the interior and the exterior is kind of give it this vintage kitschy vibe. And so this application, when I received it, because this north wall, because Development Services signed off, and also Downtown Design Review confirmed that there would be no problem with a live painting event permit because the wall was already painted. I went ahead and administratively reviewed this, and it was issued the live painting event permit on June 18th and was completed within a day. So this was already temporarily approved, and now it requires complete review by the Arts Commission, and then it'll go to Downtown Design Review for a CA, and then it'll go to Development Services for a mural/sign permit. So I'm happy to answer any of the commission's questions if you have any.
Robbie, this is
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper. Is
Uh-huh.
this motel right by that median that was done by Oklahoma City Beautiful? And
Yes,
the Joe Slack piece?
it certainly is.
Any other questions from commissioners for staff for Robbie?
I'd like to recommend this for approval.
I have a motion from Commissioner Stewart for recommendation,
Second from
And
Allison
a-
Bailey.
a second from Commissioner Bailey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mark, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Commissioner Chambers,
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey,
Aye.
Commissioner Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Aye.
Commissioner Eichmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
What was that?
That was a yes.
Commissioner Hill, yes. Commissioner Kovach,
Yes.
Commissioner Loftus,
Yes.
Commissioner Salyer.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I finally made it.
Yay.
Okay. Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Sweeney, Commissioner Sweeney,
Yes.
yes. Motion passes, Mr. Chair.
Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 3B. Arts Commission case number 20-00022. Minimum qualifications for principal curator and definition for curatorial plan. Robbie, will you please introduce this item?
Okay, can everyone see the item on their screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So the minimum qualifications for a principal curator and the definition for a curatorial plan, these were all requested by the Arts Commission on its April 20th meeting. And an ad hoc committee led by Commissioners Eichmann and Hassenbeck met with staff and developed the application in your packet. There are two separate pieces that we'll go through here in a moment. But what I did want to mention, just to remind everyone, these and other standing rules are being developed for review, discussion, and action by the Arts Commission. And this is all part of the process to prepare for a major code revision that will happen in a couple of years. So by working through these things individually, it allows you to ask a lot of questions, sometimes send things back to committee, sometimes ask for edits to them before you take action. But then it also allows staff to use them as standing rules when we're working with clients and when we're writing memos for your review. And then what we've promised through all of this is when the code is rewritten, we're going to bring back a comprehensive rewrite of all these elements so that you can review them before you take action. This is all in response to the Art Master Plan that was recommended by the Arts Commission and adopted by Council in 2015. So the first thing that we'll go through here is the principal curator, and you can see this on your screen. So a principal curator will have these minimum qualifications: experience engaging diverse artists and audiences through exhibitions and programs, demonstrated ability to plan, organize, arrange a showing of public art that includes selection of artists, placement of artwork, site preparation, and display of artwork that includes educating and engaging the public through art markers and other means, demonstrated understanding of and ability to comply with all applicable laws, statutes, ordinances, regulations, and administrative requirements, including but not limited to safety, engineering regulations, and requirements of the city. Oftentimes, the Arts Commission asks the principal curators to bring back reports. So making sure that these are complied with is important. And then demonstrated ability to maintain and keep records about all exhibitions. Often the VERA waivers are an important part of that. Being willing to report to the Arts Commission at the intervals that the Arts Commission has requested. In the past, you have asked for intervals of as short as 3 months when you were first starting to review curatorial plans. And some of the last ones that you have made recommendations for, you've been asking for an annual review. So then on the next page, a curatorial plan is a written detailed plan worked out in advance about the goals of the exhibition for a period of time at a specific location. They're presented to the Arts Commission for approval and shall minimally include the following: the locations for the public artwork identified on an overall site plan or floor plan, acquisition statement about why the curatorial plan is being proposed. There are curatorial standards or a statement from the principal curator about the broad-reaching goals for the artwork and any standards to be used in curating the work to be exhibited. You ask for a title of the project, the curatorial credentials and experience of the principal curator in charge, including a bio, and then review by the Arts Commission shall be based on curatorial excellence, originality, and ability to produce an exhibition as evidenced by representation of past exhibitions in images or other supporting materials, experience with exhibitions of similar scale and scope, the technical feasibility of what is proposed, appropriateness of the curator's approach to the project's intent and location, and the credentials and experience shall be included for all assistants and project managers, along with a statement of how the assistants and the project managers will be involved in the project, including their bios. The value for the range of work to be on exhibition, Visual Arts Act waivers and explanation of how they will be obtained from the artists and that they will later be provided to the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs. A statement on insurance, how the artists will be insured while they're painting, how the work on exhibition will be insured. And this is all about injury, liability, and property loss. A maintenance plan explaining how the work will be maintained and repaired if needed. Art markers explaining how the public will be educated and engaged with the work on exhibition. Lighting, some explanation on how the work will be illuminated, if that's special lighting or lighting that's already in the place. And important consideration will also be given to safety, accessibility, durability, preparation, materials, and their permanence or non-permanence, and protection against vandalism. And I'll be happy to entertain any questions. I know Commissioner Hassenbeck could not be with us today, but Commissioner Eichmann is here and other staff members who participated on the committee.
I have a question. This is Commissioner Kovach. Is this a point where we can actually make some suggestions for the future version of this?
So this is being brought to you for discussion and action. There could be changes proposed, or it could also be deferred.
Okay.
If there was more discussion.
Understood. On the first bullet under the principal curator, it says experience and all the other ones say demonstrated. I suggest that we add demonstrated experience to that first bullet, especially if we may be seeing some curatorial plans coming from out of the state or out of the region. And I'm also in the actual definition for the curatorial plans, based on some of the plans that I've seen before, I really suggest that we have some sort of delegation chart for all the assistants and project managers, because it was a recent plan that had just pretty much anybody besides the curator could sign off on any changes. And finally, an affirmative statement somewhere in there that says that no curatorial decision will be made by persons not included in the curatorial plan. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Kovach. Commissioner Stewart, I saw your hand raised as well.
Yes, I think that not all projects that come before us may have the ability to be lit. For instance, I'm thinking of the outdoor sculpture events that have been proposed in the past. The lighting temporary sculptures like that could be a really expensive endeavor. So, you know, lighting, how work will be illuminated if possible, or something to that effect.
I think what the intent on that also was, you know, a lot of the lighting, so far, a lot of these curatorial plans have been proposed kind of close to downtown or in downtown too. And so ambient lighting is also one of the things that could be substituted. I mean, there's certainly pedestrian lighting, and then the 30 feet tall street lighting also on these, if that was what was available. So I think the intent was more that lighting be discussed. Some might have lighting, but certainly not to prevent an exhibition. But oftentimes the Arts Commission asks about lighting.
True, but it's not always feasible. So,
right,
especially with temporary exhibitions.
Right.
I think when we have, if we have a motion in a second, I think it is important to include Commissioner Stewart's statement if possible. I know the way it's written, it is fairly vague, and it's one of our most often asked questions, so it's important to list it. But like Commissioner Stewart said, it's not always feasible. So perhaps in the motion, the condition would include an edit that it include the language if possible. I was summarizing for you, Commissioner Stewart. please tell me I did
That's
so
fine.
accurately.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Good job. I was curious about Commissioner Eichmann, if she had a comment about that.
No, I think Robbie stated it correctly. There's no intention of say, denying a curatorial plan if lighting's not available. So I think making it a little more flexible makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
It, just as another variation on that statement, you could say whether or not the plan, whether or not it will be illuminated.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper.
Because it may not be illuminated, even if it's possible to be illuminated. They may choose not to illuminate it.
Any other questions or perhaps edits or suggested edits for staff?
Well, I think it's well written.
Agreed. And Commissioner Stewart, I think it's time that we extend thanks to Commissioners Hassenbeck and Eichmann for taking on this ad hoc committee of addressing some very necessary stuff. And as Robbie said earlier, this will work into this is one piece that works into a bigger puzzle of that code rewrite. So again, thank you, Commissioner Eichmann.
Thanks to staff for their help on this. Yeah.
Any further discussion?
So shall I recommend, make a recommendation for approval with the edits about the lighting that you suggested, Commissioner Chambers?
And what about the statements from Commissioner Kovach?
Of course.
I
think that's fair.
I would second that.
And I have a second from Commissioner Eichmann. Any further discussion?
I would like to make sure that I'm clear about the motion that was just made.
I am so glad you said that, Robbie, because I'm not able to restate the motion accurately.
Yeah. So I know that the first request, if this is a motion to approve the decision with those changes, the first one is that the principal curator, the first bullet, that it be changed to say demonstrated experience.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That the definition for curatorial plans under lighting, that it have more of a question like, is lighting possible? And if so, how will the work be illuminated?
Leaving
Or
room
something.
for artist intent, I believe, was a part of
Right.
the conversation. So if the artist so chose.
Right. That there be a chart or a table of roles that be included.
Roles and delegations.
Okay.
Speaking to secession, so no one is participating on this who has not been previously mentioned. Is that correct,
Right.
Commissioner Kovach?
Yes, but specifically the people that are called out in the curatorial plan as either the curator, the project manager, or an assistant.
And then we have a statement that no curatorial decisions will be made by anyone but the principal curator.
Well, what I said was not included in the curatorial plan.
Okay.
And I suppose that would go along with the delegations chart, but that could be wordsmithed.
Okay.
Robbie, do you feel comfortable with that motion?
I do. And can I have again who made the motion and who seconded? It was Stewart and Eichmann. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mark, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Chambers,
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey,
Aye.
Commissioner Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Aye.
Commissioner Eichmann,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovach,
Yes.
Commissioner Loftus,
Aye.
Commissioner Salyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart,
Aye.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mark. The motion carries. Before we move on to agenda item 3C, I have to restate this reminder that if we lose our connection for this meeting for more than 15 minutes, we will resume at our next regularly scheduled Arts Commission meeting on August 17th at 4 p.m. Now, agenda item 3C, Arts Commission case number 20-00023, Path Poem 1 and Path Poem 2 by M.J. Alexander, a 1% for art at 3 additional park sites as follows. 1, Britain, 1301 Northwest 96th Street in Ward 2. 2, Melrose at 7800 Melrose Lane, which is in Ward 1. Number 3, South Rotary, 1620 South Rotary Drive, which is in Ward 6. Randy, will you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Randy Marks, the Public Art Project Manager. So this project probably sounds a little bit familiar to you, so a little bit of background here. You'll remember that at the last commission meeting, you voted to recommend to the City Council the poetry project for 5 city parks. Geraldine, excuse me, Dauphin Gorton, Pat Murphy, Overholser, and Woodrow. The selection committee chose 2 poems by artist-writer M.J. Alexander, Path Poem 1 and Path Poem 2, to be sandblasted into existing concrete or otherwise permanently installed at each park. At the time you accepted the committee report and made the council recommendation, you also authorized staff to work with the artist and her team to determine how exactly the poems would be used in the parks. What size they would be, what size the sandblasted stencil would be, where they would be located, and other items of that sort. You wanted us to work closely with the artist because we didn't want the artist to get in over her head, so to speak. We didn't want youthful exuberance to lead to bitter despair later on down the line. So staff did meet with MJ about exactly how to go about installing the artwork. And it was decided after a thorough review of the artist and her team that at least 1 poem would be installed at each park, sandblasted in each park, but sandblasted in such a way, using the stencil in such a way that each park is unique in the way that the poem is presented. Furthermore, at Dauphin Horton Park, the steel stencil that will be used for the sandblasting for one of the poems will be installed permanently as a sculptural landscape feature. So with that as background, we saw the opportunity of using these same poems again for 3 more parks that each have relatively small budgets. In one of the cases, extremely tiny budget that would be hard to deliver art for otherwise. That's Britton Park, that only has an art budget of about $500, if I remember correctly. So with staff time, with staff time, we would completely use up all of that money and even more just to try to deliver art to that park. But by bundling it together in this particular way, we can actually do something really special at Britton Park, which is a small park, basically right in the heart of Britton, just a few blocks north of Britton Road. Also, Melrose Park, which is out on Melrose Lane. We're really happy to be able to include this one because in the original selection committee, we got to work with Natasha Braxton, who is the director of the community center that you see there in the photo at Melrose Park. And she was an utter delight to work for, park employee Natasha Braxton. And she brought so much to the committee. So we were very happy to now come back and recommend that the poem poem or the poems he used at Melrose Park. And then finally, South Rotary Park. South Rotary has a little bit larger budget associated with it. So that is where we will, in addition to the sandblasted poem, the steel stencil will be turned into a sculptural landscape feature at South Rotary Park. I want to make another note about South Rotary. There are approximately 5 and maybe more different addresses associated with South Rotary Park. We know definitely that it is in Ward 6. We'll find out tomorrow when we have our regular meeting with the Parks Department, which, if any of these addresses they prefer us to use before we go to council. And if none of that works, we will work with the zoning department to assign an address for each of the works of art that will go in South Rotary Park. So having said all of that, we request again that you recommend to the council that Path Poems 1 and 2 by M.J. Alexander will be installed in these 3 parks. At that point, the second and final stencil will be retired to its new life as a permanent piece of sculptural landscape design. That'll conclude the use of these 2 poems. Now, we do definitely look forward to doing a project like this in the future, so I think you can count on seeing that. And I'll just note that MJ, I think, is in attendance today. So again, if you would like any, maybe she would like to read these again, I'm not sure. Anyway, I leave it up to you, Mr. Chair.
A chance to hear poetry again at an Arts Commission meeting. I'm not going to say no. MJ, would you entertain us?
There. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for this opportunity. And I want to echo what Randy said about Natasha. It's because of Natasha's involvement with the selection committee that we did come up with the idea of having 2 poems instead of just 1, because she ignited a discussion, and then we kind of bundled them as the 2 Path poems, and so that makes it even more exciting. So I'm really glad one of these will make its way to Melrose Park. So the first Path poem is, "Be inclined to be kind today to those you find along the way." And one of the great things about Shane, who will be doing the sandblasting, is he's going to take the landscape of the park and have a really kind of artistic and linear application of these. We're going to break up the words so there's a flexibility to having them be part of the journey. So it's just not going to be a little static piece. It's going to really have a sense of place, and we'll take the ups and downs as part of that. And the same goes for the second poem. "It's rare the path of least resistance leads us toward a brave existence," which I hope will be inspiring to all in the park and all of us as we go along the path of life.
Thank you, MJ. Randy, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Both poems are definitely appropriate for the time that we're living in. So MJ she really caught the zeitgeist and did a beautiful job.
Agreed. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Cooper.
I was just going to move approval.
I have a motion for recommendation
And I'll
from
second.
Commissioner
This is
Cooper
Meg.
and a second from Commissioner Salyer. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mark, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Chambers,
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey,
Aye.
Commissioner Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Aye.
Commissioner Eichmann,
Sorry, aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Kovach,
Aye.
Commissioner Loftus,
Yes.
Commissioner Salyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart,
Aye.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mark. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 3D, Arts Commission case number 200024, 360 Respite by Don Narcomi. And Don, please correct me if I'm incorrect, or Randy, I don't know how I pronounced that. 1% for art using salvaged ash log. Maps 3, Lake Stanley Draper Trail, address 10940 West Stanley Draper Drive. Randy, will you please introduce this item?
Certainly. First, a note about Don. So I called him Don Narcomi for years and years. And a few years ago, Don started using the more appropriate Seminole pronunciation, Narcomi. And so I've forced myself to make the switch, and he's Don Narcomi now. So a little over a year ago, you recommended, the commission recommended to City Council the first 3 1% for art projects for the Match 3 Lake Draper Trail. The 3 were B52 by Dan Moore, Booyah by Gabe Friedman, and Convergence by Don Narcomi. So as a short version, I'll say that through absolutely no foresight or planning, as it turned out, we provided 3 really different art experiences. I mean, obviously the pieces are different at the trail, but different ways to experience them at the trail. So first of all, Don's piece, Convergence, is visible right where the trail crosses Lake Stanley Draper Drive, wide open, big sky, and it invites you to park the car, get out, walk over there, and you can actually get inside of the sculpture. Gabe Friedman's Booyah, on the other hand, is not visible from the road, but it's relatively easy to access it. If you know where you're going, you can walk about a block down a hill, and you can see it where it sits on a little knoll, beautiful spot. Great spot where the trail goes down into a valley and then rises again, and there's this little knoll at the bottom of the valley overlooking the lake. And Booyah sits up there in all of its glory. The third case, B52 by Dan Moore, is out on a peninsula. You can see the map here. You can see the red star and the little pin is where B52 is. And it is visible from the marina, which you see in the image over there to the left, but just barely. It's a little distance. And the idea is that people see something off in the distance and want to walk over there and see, what is that thing? Well, it's about a 15-minute or so walk from the marina. And for riders on the trail, as you're coming around that curve, sometimes it's real easy to miss if there's something out there. So former commissioner Peter DeLisi came up with an idea after riding this trail 2 or 3 times and visiting B52. He said it would be wonderful to have a path there that led from the trail out to B52. We suggested that to Parks Department, and they thought it was just a wonderful idea. And then we saw another opportunity. There was a little money left over in the budget, so we knew we had to use that some way. So we cooked up this plan to use a log that would be provided by Parks to be turned into a sculptural bench that would be on this little gravel path, and then would invite people not only just to walk out and see B52, but to have a place to sit and look out on the lake and at B52 as well. Parks also liked that idea. They furnished a huge 10-foot by 3-foot ash log that was salvaged from one of the other parks, and we launched our project. So the RFQ was announced to the pool on May 28th with a deadline of June 3rd, and it was open to all pool artists in all categories. We suggested to the pool and then to the selection committee that we wanted everybody to think a little bit broadly and creatively, and maybe somebody who wasn't just known as a 3D artist or a functional artist might be considered. But after reviewing everybody, 3 artists were chosen. We had the site tour on June 18th, after the selection on June 10th, and then final presentations were made on July 9th, and Don Narcomy was chosen for his conceptual design titled 360 Respite. This piece will include not only the recycled log provided by Parks, but also some recycled wood that he will add to it, most notably there in the central element of the bench that creates the back. So we submit for your consideration and recommendation 360 Respite by Don Narcomy. Here you see his budget. It was thoroughly vetted by the selection committee, and he seems to have covered all bases. And there's that.
Thank you, Randy. Don, I believe you're on the call or at the meeting here virtually. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, not really, other than I'm excited about doing this project. As you know, the log is right now it's has bark all over it, and it's a single log. I plan on slicing it lengthwise at hopefully just the right angle to get something that's going to be a surprise, and I hope it's going to be a great surprise, you know, what's inside. So nonetheless, whatever happens, I'll be able to work with it, and I've got backup plans, and I've got, you know, ways that I work around things all the time. So
thank you, sir.
Excited.
Thank you, Don. Any questions for staff or the artist? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Stewart. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Cooper, I believe. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mark, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Chambers,
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey,
Aye.
Commissioner Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Aye.
Commissioner Eichmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Kovach,
Aye.
Commissioner Loftus,
Aye.
Commissioner Salyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart,
Aye.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mark. The motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 3E.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Loftus, yes, sir.
while we have Don here, could we clear up the pronunciation of his name?
Yes, it's Don Narcomy. And so growing up, to explain this story, growing up, I grew up in Edmond, and going to school, and even my parents would say, Narcomy. And I grew up, everybody knowing me as Donnie Narcomy. And so but then if I get out of the city and back into Seminole, Wewoka, they all say Narcomy. And so I had this sort of dual identity for a long time. And my brothers will still say Narcomy more than they say Narcomy. So it's one of those things where I will accept either, but I think Narcomy is the correct spelling or the correct pronunciation. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. And Don is just Don, right?
That's it. You can call me Don, you can call me Donnie. High school friends call me Donnie. So
thank you so much.
Don, you don't have to suffer through any more of this. And thank you for the clarification about the emphasis, and we honor your name. Thanks again. And actually, thank you for making Lake Stanley Draper one of the hot spots for public art in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for helping me do that. Yes.
Moving on to agenda item 3E. Arts Commission case 20-00025, Night Shelter, mural by Chris Canale, address 532 North Villa Avenue for City Care. Robbie, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, so the mural will be located on the west wall and above the entrance of City Care's new night shelter. And the building at this site, it was constructed in 1974 as an 8,600 square foot, one-story warehouse. The property was sold in March to City Care for their night shelter. And so it's located in a largely industrial area south of General Pershing and east of North Villa. Here is the mural proposed, 14 feet high, 25 feet wide is the area there. And here's a better view of so that you can see it, west facing. And so the permitting requirements on this it's not in a design review area, so it would require review by the Arts Commission and a sign permit. One of the things that as staff reviewed this that we want to suggest is that there be some kind of an integrated art marker for the public to see as they enter. The applicant did state that they would have information on the artist and the mural inside the building, but your usual art marker standards recommend something outside, and if it's not a purchased or manufactured art marker, that it be integrated somehow. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. And I know that the applicant is here. I'm not sure if the artist is here.
I don't see Chris, but I do see Stacy, and I believe this is her first time with the commission in a new role, a new job.
I miss you guys.
Is there anything you'd like to add to the application?
I don't think so. I so appreciate you guys taking the time to walk through this with us. This is, as far as I know, the first time City Care has ever done a piece of public art, and it's particularly special to us for this night shelter because this will be Oklahoma City's only low barrier night shelter, meaning we're not asking for any prerequisites. So you don't have to enroll in a program. You don't have to be sober. So we're just really taking people as they are in the situation that they're in. And we want it to be home. So we know that so many of their experiences are utilitarian, and we wanted just to add a piece of art for beauty's sake. And also we've really tried to be thoughtful about every single detail on this night shelter and making sure it's meeting needs. So something we hear often is that people won't access shelters because they have pets. So we have a pet hotel, or they have storage, or they need storage for shopping carts. So we have large scale storage available for people. Many shelters separate families. So men go to the left, women go to the right, and we are building family suites so that our families and married couples can stay together. So we've really tried to be thoughtful about all of that. So the reason we propose that the art marker be on the inside of this facility as opposed to the outside is because we are not having a line wrapped around the outside. All check-ins, storage access, and pet check-ins are going to be happening inside. And many of the people we serve also struggle with literacy. So we would have staff and volunteers available inside to talk them through that art marker if they were interested in the piece. And but again, we certainly are open to suggestions. And if it's more for the public's sake than for just our guests, we'd be happy to move that outside.
Thank you, Stacy. Questions for staff or for the applicant?
Chairman, this is Assistant Kovach. This is for Stacy. Stacy, do you know when you might be able to start accepting clients and guests?
So we broke ground in April of this year. We're still technically fundraising. We've raised about 2.8 million. We have about another 1.5 million to go. But it is under construction right now. So we are expecting that doors will be open this winter. We're estimating December or January, but more than likely this piece of art would be installed around October, November.
Thank you.
Stacy, you might do a pitch for Transform the Night. You've got a great audience.
Yes, actually. So speaking of fundraisers, we scheduled a fundraiser luncheon for this event, which last year raised, almost $250,000. for March. And as we all know, no events are happening right now. So we are doing our first ever digital fundraiser this Thursday night at 6 p.m. for this night shelter. So we'll be providing a construction update and really an update on the status of homelessness in Oklahoma City and how those numbers have changed since the point in time count data has been released just this last week, I believe. So we'll be providing updates on that and why we made the decisions for the shelter that we did. And it's going to be really, really meaningful and educational. So please join us at 6 p.m. on Thursday if you can, and tell everyone you know, of course.
Thank you,
And Stacey,
Stacy.
where? On your Facebook page, or where is it going to be?
Yes, citycareokc.org is our website, and you can just hit our events page there, or you can visit our Facebook page, Instagram page. All of them have information about the event.
Commissioner Cooper, I believe I saw your hand too. Please.
Excuse me, yes. I was wondering about the height of the mural. Is it go all the way to the ground behind that fence?
It does, yes.
Now, is it accessible behind the fence so that you can see the whole thing?
Yes, yes, that is a great question. So there is like a walkway in between there.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant?
I'll say I love Chris Canale's work. It just makes me smile.
That's exactly the hope we have for our guests as well.
Additionally, the work of City Care I love as well. This is exciting for our city on many levels.
Chair, I have a quick question related to
Commissioner
art
Bailey,
marker.
please.
I understand their reasoning for recognizing the art marker information maybe in a different but complementary location. Staff, can you what does our existing art marker language in our policy suggest about that?
The easiest way to incorporate an art marker would be the title of the work, which is Shelter, the year it was painted, so 2020, by Christopher Canale or Canale, you know, however. That could easily be sprayed and integrated into the piece. That would be very low key and wouldn't cost any extra money to do that, as long as it doesn't exceed 10% of the total area. So that could easily be accommodated.
Robbie, I understood you, but it sounded like you had some distortion on your voice. It was a little Darth Vader-ish.
Yeah.
But I think it was clear that you were speaking to the guidelines of content, scale and size. Is there something I missed?
And I was just saying the lowest cost to integrate it would be with spray, since the artist can just use spray. Can you hear me now?
It's still distorted.
Use the force.
Stacy, are you able to speak to any of those recommendations about the art marker externally?
Oh yeah, we can definitely have Chris do that while he's out there. So just so I know I got it right, his name, the title of the piece, and the year that it was painted. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, yes, we can definitely do that.
Thank you, Stacy. Any further discussion or questions for staff or the applicant? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So I'd move approval.
I have a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Salyer, and I believe Commissioner Cooper, you were in there too. So is it okay if you want a second?
That's fine.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mark, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Commissioner Chambers.
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey.
Aye.
Commissioner Booker.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmann.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Kovach.
Yes.
Commissioner Loftus.
Yes.
Commissioner Salyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mark. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 3F, case number AC 200026, BCC Mural Project by Brian Lewis, also known as Checks, address 1015 Northwest 1st Street for Blue Collar Criminals Collective. Robbie, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, and please let me know if my voice, if my sound goes back out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's still distorted.
It's distorted.
I'm sorry, Robbie.
Really?
Yeah, you're distorted.
Wow.
Robbie, try muting yourself and unmuting yourself a couple times.
Okay, I will try that. Okay, how about now? Is that better? This is a new.
Back up about half a foot. You're hit with your head.
What?
Back up with your head about half a foot. There we go.
Right there?
Yeah, no, never mind.
Okay, I don't know what to do. I can exit, but all of the screen is shared on my computer.
Robbie, how about you share your slides and we can read content?
Okay.
I will state stuff if you want to do that.
What if Randy and I trade places?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Trade offices. For all those tuning in, again, thank you for your patience.
While we're doing that, Chairman, what are we not using that Prime or that OKC Gov thing?
Prime Gov. Yes, for some reason, I was not an authorized user, so we all had to suffer.
Good deal.
But I hear it's being corrected.
I couldn't figure it out, so I'm just as glad that didn't work.
Welcome back, Robbie, AKA Randy Marks.
Okay, so you guys can hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Terrific. Okay, so this is a case that you've seen elements of it before. This is the Blue Collar Criminals Collective. It's directly across the street from Stone Cloud Brewing on Northwest 1st. There is a series of pop culture portraits for the overall mural. Back in December of 2018, the commission recommended the Albert Einstein mural by Brian Lewis, who's also known as Jex. You know, he kind of comes, he goes all over the country, but when he comes through town, they get very little notice. And it's like there was a plan on what to paint at this building. And so he gives them a little notice and he comes by and paints it. Then the next one that was painted was The Freak, which is also the Hulk, is kind of how you might know it. That was recommended by the commission on March of 2019. And so those are both, Randy, if you could advance this, there's those. I'm sure you will. And then here, this is the west side of the building. And this is where you probably remember seeing the applicant last, or the applicant's representative, Kyle Davis, who I believe is in our meeting today. But when you looked at the Willy Wonka back in August of 2019, there was a little bit of a conflict with the round circle with the words on it. And so at that time, the Arts Commission recommended to the applicant that they bring back all of the murals that they had planned with one big 5-portrait plan, and that would avoid any conflict with code about the size of the words. And so that's what they are doing today. They're bringing back Willy Wonka and also Otis Redding, which is painted without a permit. But then they're also proposing the future Stay Gold, which it's called Stay Gold Vader, and it's Darth Vader. And they're hopeful that you would go ahead and recommend the Willy Wonka, Otis Redding, and the Darth Vader all at once so they can go get legally permitted
permission.
Robbie, that's what happened to your voice. You turned into Darth Vader.
It sounded that bad, huh?
The
Well, I'm sorry.
coincidence.
Thank you, Randy, for letting me use his chair. But Mr. Davis is also here if you had any other questions. They also are integrating an art marker with all the recommended information from the Arts Commission.
Kyle, I see you're on the call. Is there anything you'd like to add as the applicant, or as rather?
Yeah, as a representative for the applicant, everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I just, we certainly appreciate the committee taking a look at this and giving us another chance to do everything right. I know they haven't complied or had issues with it completely, like Ms. Kinzel mentioned. But yeah, we're happy to be here and present this to you today.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions for staff or the applicant?
Oh,
Commissioner Cooper?
Yeah. Since all of these paintings are very recognizable figures from various sources, is there any issue regarding, are there any legal issues regarding copyright or anything reproducing these pictures, these faces, images, reproducing the images?
Yeah, well, there certainly the applicant could be at risk, but they do have legal counsel. And so, Mr. Davis, I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. I mean, I think it's derivative work is what it's proposed as, and there are changes to it.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is some risk with these. Of course, our client, I'm an attorney, but our client would certainly indemnify, you know, the Arts Council. It's basically their risk, but as far as things go, like the Otis Redding, the estate of Mr. Redding has expressed that they were that they enjoyed that mural. Yeah, but if we need to do anything further to put on paper an indemnification, we'd be happy to do so.
And as a body, we're also cautious. We used to really evaluate copyright, but that burden is on the applicant, not the Arts Commission's responsibility. Also, we're very careful to not censor or make any comments on content that could potentially infringe on First Amendment rights, particularly freedom of speech and expression. I believe that's correct. We have counsel who could correct me if I'm wrong.
I just wanted to make sure that had been taken in consideration should the whatever owners of the copyright of the various images might be, if they came in and wanted to have them removed, that the artists have considered that as at least within the realm of something that should be considered.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve.
I have a motion to recommend from Commissioner Loftus. Is there a second?
Second from Commissioner Bailey.
A second from Commissioner Bailey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mark, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Commissioner Chambers.
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey.
Aye.
Commissioner Booker.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Aye.
Commissioner Eichmann.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Kovach.
Aye.
Commissioner Loftus.
Aye.
Commissioner Salyer. Commissioner Salyer. Commissioner Salyer. Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mark. Moving on to agenda item 3G, rather, the motion carried. Moving on to agenda item 3G, case number 2000027, the 2020 through 2023 pre-qualified artist pool selection for projects under $25,000. I understand that there are 3 presenters for this item. Robbie, have things been complicated because of having working microphones? But in any case, you're introducing it.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say about this item is we have been very lucky here in the Office of Arts and Culture Affairs this summer that we have enjoyed our course credit intern, Nick Benton, from the University of Central Oklahoma. You know, every year we try to have a summer intern that can earn course credit by working with us here in the office. They've taken many roles in the past, from collection management to the music industry report, as you saw last year. And this year, when we were contacted by Nick, he is a strategic communications degree seeker. And so it was really exciting to consider that and what he might be able to help us do on recruitment for the pre-qualified pool. And then COVID hit. And we realized, you know, we had to cancel our boot camp that we had planned at the Yale Theater. The Yale Theater was going to donate that space. We had a lot of support from the Oklahoma City Midtown Rotary. But in spite of that, Nick was able to help us, worked with staff every day, and design an outreach program with public information's help as well. They worked with us quite a bit on it. But he was able to design a social media strategy that, in spite of all that, we were still successful. So I'm really excited for you to see today what has been happened. And I'm going to now trade places with Randy so he can talk to you about the pool and what the process was. And then you can hear from Nick. Okay.
Trade back with you a little bit. So, hello again. The outreach for the 2020-2021 version of the pool started back in January, late January, early February, when we sent an email out to all current or then current pool members, just forewarning them that a number of them, their terms are going to be coming up soon, and so to be watching for an email that would tell them exactly what to do so that they could jury in again if they chose to do so. And also asking them for any advice on any other artists that they might recommend that we contact for the pool. So been following up on that, I just want to reiterate everything that Robbie said about Nick. It was wonderful having him here. I was able to turn over a lot of the contact work to Nick, and he did a great job on that and everything else he did, which he's going to give you a report on in just a little bit. So the RFQ was announced in BidSync on April 22nd with an original deadline of May 27th. We extended that deadline twice, just to be sure that the word really got out there sufficiently to all the groups, to all the people that whose names we had been given that we were trying to contact. So the final deadline was June 24th. Then on July 1st, the selection committee met, and we had over 60 applicants. So the outreach was successful this year. And I think that you'll see that this is a talented bunch of people. So there are 10 categories in the pool this year. And with your acceptance of this, there will be 120 separate individuals, separate artists. Some of them are in multiple categories. So there's 165 positions, you might say, in those 11 total categories. There were entrants in 10 of those 11 categories. And then, in addition to all that, we want to further ask you to recommend to council that we request a change in how we handle the 1% for art projects that we take to them that have been selected from the artist pool. Currently, we go to the city council twice. The first time we go asking them for authorization to negotiate a contract with the selected artist that you recommend to them for a project. After they give us authorization to negotiate, we go back to them again with the final negotiated contract and ask them to approve that. What we would want to ask you to do is ask council to resolve that we can bypass that first step. That because you have selected all of these people for the pool, that we can automatically just go ahead and go to council with a negotiated contract. We estimate that this will save approximately 10 hours at least on every project, which may not sound like a lot, but that's a lot of Robbie's time, my time, Rita's time, other interdepartmental time. Ultimately, this can save the city hundreds and hundreds of dollars on every one of these little tiny projects. And then potentially that money can be put back into the art award. So we see this as a means of not only saving the city money, but also putting more dollars into the hands of the artist for the work that they're doing. So that is our recommendation to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Randy. And thank you, Nick, for all your hard work for the City and the Arts Commission and this giant project that is our pre-qualified artist pool. Any questions? Oh, please, Randy.
Let me jump back in here and say that Nick is now going to present the recommendations, the pool recommendations, and he's going to talk a little bit about what he has done. This is his report to the commission. Unfortunately, probably the only time you're going to get to see him unless he decides to come back for a visit later on. But again, Nick has done a fabulous job, and we want him to tell you what he's done and introduce the actual pool to you.
Thank you, Randy. Nick, please.
Yes, hi, thank you. Thank you, Robbie, and thank you, Randy. Like they said, I am Nick Benson. I'm a student at UCO in Strategic Communications. And I've noticed that I've been sitting on meetings with some of you guys, but it's nice to meet the rest of you as well. During my time with the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, I've, like Robbie said, been setting up a social media campaign with Robbie. Very simple stuff, trying to get people basically to put their eyes on the documentation to get them onto the pool, onto BidSync. And along with that, I've been spending a lot of time emailing back and forth, answering questions for interested artists as they navigate BidSync, which is a very strange system for some people. And after that, after the selection committee, I set up this presentation for the entire pre-qualified pool. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Good. I'm gonna have to go through this fairly quickly. It's very long. If you have any questions or you need me to slow it down, just let me know, stop me. But this is quite a hefty presentation, so I'll be going through it fairly quickly. So this is the entire list of the new and returning artists for the 2020-2021 pre-qualified pool, as Randy stated earlier. 2D, we have many new candidates. Dylan Broadway, I'm sure everyone's seen his art around. Burian. Catherine Chapman. Sarah Cohen. Emma Defani. Chandler Domingos. Mariah Downs. Kristen Gentry. David Holland, Arjan Yeager. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Farouk Kareem, Caitlin Noel Nick, Cindy Mason, Lawrence Naff, Erica Nkechi Oji, Chris Presley, Lucas Simmons, Virginia Seitzes, Robin Orbach Stark, Verdine Thompson. I believe he's our youngest candidate, actually. Chandler Watson, and Jason Wilson. Michael Wilson. Lauren Wright. And here are our returning artists. We just have one painting from each. MJ Alexander, Paul Bagley, Mark Barker, Erica Bonavita, Brian Boone, Andrea Braggs, Ebony Iman Dallas, Anthony Dyke, Lauren Florence, Dusty Gilpin, Holy Kids, Brian Landreth, Mike Larson, Tiffany McKnight, Paul Medina, Susan Morrison Dyke, Marcus Muse, Danny Rose, Liz Roth, Jason Wortham, Adrian Wright. And on to 3D. Art Fusion Studio, Paul Bagley, Roberto L. Delgado, Taylor Foam, Jonathan Hills, Michael Hoffner, Virginia Kistler, Todd Jenkins, Caitlin Noel Nick, Jorge Levia, Nick Lillard. Beatriz Mayorka. Nicole Moan. Lawrence Naff. Don Narkame. Seth Palmiter. David Phelps. Nathan Pratt. Clint Shore. Amanda Zoe. And here are returning artists. Paul Bagley. Nick Bayer. Stan Carroll. Randy Koloski. Manuel Cruz III. Shane Darwin. Gabriel Friedman. Christy Hackler. Ken Hartman. Mike Larson. Brett McDaniel. Kenneth J. McCage. Paul Medina. Daniel Moore. Milwaukee Oricasa. Christine Partigianoni. Should have practiced that one. Bob Pavlik. Jessica Petrus. LaQuincy Reed. Patrick Riley. Morgan Robinson. Connie Scothorn and Brian Patrick. Asia Scooter. Joe Slack. Chris Wollard. Jason Wortham. Malcolm Zachariah. Tom Zimmer. Bobby Zokaitis. And art handlers. Paul Bagley again. Dylan Bradway. Factory Obscura. Michael Hoffner again. Shane Welch. And here are returning art handlers. Artemis Fine Arts. B.R. Howard. Tony Morton. Smith Art Conservation. Here are our curatorial or curators. Michael Hoffner. Again. Julia Kurt. Helen Lessick. Helen Opper. Jennifer Scanlon. Whiteboard Exhibits. And here are returning curatorial. Tony Morton, again. Laura Warner. Here's our functional category. Art Fusion, again. Paul Bagley. Jonathan Hills. Michael Hoffner, again. Man Watkins design. Beatriz Mayorka. Don Narkamy. Clint Shore. Here are functional returning artists. Nick Bayer. Gabriel Friedman. Kenneth J. McCage. Brett McDaniel. Bob Pavlik. Morgan Robinson. And here is Glass. New candidate. Seth Palmiter. I believe he's the only one. And here are Glass returning artists. Art Fusion Studio. Martin Donlin. Jeff Goulet. Maureen Melville. Jason Wortham. Here's our mosaic category. Eileen Gay. Beatriz Mayorga. Nicole Moon. Lawrence Naff. Here are returning mosaic artists. Maureen Melville. Susan Morrison Dyke. Jason Wortham. He's the last one. Here are mural artists. Matin Alavi. Paul Bagley. Nick Bayer. Dylan Bradway. Emma Defani. Jay Farrell. Caitlin Noel Nick. Christina Pickard and Robin Stark. Chris Presley. Kendra Riddell. Virginia Seitzes. Amanda Zoe. Here are returning mural artists. Manuel Cruz III. Ebony Iman Dallas. Molly Dilworth. Kenise Duong. Anthony Dyke. Dusty Gilpin. Matt Good. Scott Henderson. Holy Kids. Jury. Christopher Kennelly. Tiffany McKnight. Susan Morrison Dyke again. Marcus Muse. Chris Skur Rogers. Brooke Rowland. Kodak Smith. That's it. Here's our new genre candidates. Nathan Hendricks. And Clint Shore. Here are returning new genre artists. Crystal Z. Campbell. Chad Mount. Here's our photography candidates. Maria Cheveri. Michael Hoffner. Chandler M. Watson. Here are returning photography artists, MJ Alexander. And here is our written word returning artists, MJ Alexander and Carrie Shadid. That's it.
Thank you again, Nick.
Thank you so much.
Randy, Robbie, will you clarify again that you mentioned the new process where the pool artist under that would skip the step and go directly straight to council? Is that information that needs to be included in the motion?
So yes, you'll be approving the recommendation from the selection committee of these particular artists for the newest version of the pool. And then you'll be making a recommendation to council that they resolve to, I don't know exactly how to state this. We will bypass the authorization to negotiate a contract and go directly to taking and negotiated contract to council, one visit to council instead of two.
And can you hear me now? I did do some adjustment on my microphone.
Yay,
Oh,
Robbie.
good. Okay, I did some adjustments. So one of the things that, you know, the pre-qualified pool goes through city council to be announced. And so what you need to think about is it's now gone through a professional selection committee. It's come to the Arts Commission for recommendation. We are going to council, if the Arts Commission recommends it, for a pre-authorization to negotiate with any artist selected from the pool for a project under $25,000, a pre-authorization to go directly to negotiation. So we've done this before with grants that take a long time, you know, because we have to queue up projects and sometimes we don't meet a federal deadline because it takes so long to get things reviewed for council and to them. So all we're going to do is, it's kind of it's not even really a skipping a step. It's more of a pre-authorization that will allow staff to begin negotiation and bring a contract directly to council, because it's gone through a selection committee of stakeholders. It's gone to the Arts Commission, and the Arts Commission has thoroughly reviewed it against its policies and procedures. And then if recommended by the Arts Commission, council could then review that final contract. We normally have the 4 steps. We're asking for the 3 under a pre-authorization, if that helps.
Thank you. And it sounds like that's the whole purpose of having a pre-qualified artist pool in the first place, is that it's been vetted, so we have efficiency and we're saving our citizens time and money.
Yes.
Any other questions from other commissioners for staff or our amazing intern, Nick? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to recommend, yes, this is to recommend with the suggested condition, or with the suggestion that we, oh, help me, someone.
Yes. We're recommending to council that they authorize staff to negotiate a contract and bring contracts directly to them when they have gone through a selection committee and the Arts Commission has recommended them and they're under $25,000.
Oh, that sounds like a great motion. Would anyone like to make it?
I would be happy to make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Salyer and a second from Commissioner Eichmann, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mark, will you please conduct the roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Chambers.
Aye.
Commissioner Bailey.
Aye.
Commissioner Booker.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Aye.
Commissioner Eichmann.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Kovach.
Yes.
Commissioner Loftus.
Yes.
Commissioner Salyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mark. The motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 4, discussion action on reports from committees. Agenda item 4A is Commission Advocate Report. Crystal Yosef, Commissioner Yosef confirmed that she couldn't be with us today. However, I offered to make the report, and I'm sorry, was someone speaking and I missed something? Moving on. I learned through various channels that there's some new information about what's happening at the state capitol renovation. It's in your report or the packet, your commission packet. I won't go through all of this. I won't read every detail. In summary, the House of Representatives was placed in charge of of the Betty Price Gallery space at the state capitol. And we have learned that it will be removed from the Capitol. Again, the Betty Price Gallery, named for the long-term executive director of our state's Arts Council. That gallery will no longer be a part of our Capitol space. Our Capitol, of course, is iconic. Our state arts collection is fantastic, and our wonderful Oklahoma Arts Council is the steward of that collection. Let me just read a few, the last statement. And so commissioners, I know you've all read your packets in full, but please take time with this. Please read this again and carefully. But the last sentence, the removal of the gallery space will have compounding effects to the growth of the collection, the state's brand, and eliminate the collection's educational role in the lives of people across the state. Here ends my commission advocate report. Any questions? Hearing none, moving on to agenda item 4B, Air Force Monument. Commissioners Salyer and Stewart. I'm not sure if you actually have anything to report for this commission, or for this meeting rather.
That's true. There is nothing to report at this time. And I would recommend that we remove it from the agenda until we do have something to report at a later date.
It's probably best. So Robbie, please make a note, and we won't publish this item in our future agenda items until Commissioner Stewart and Salyer see fit. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Moving on to agenda item 4C, the Curtis Schwartz Awards. Commissioner Stewart, report please.
Well, I don't currently have any new information on coming up with new candidates for the Cityscape Award at this time. However, we do have a number of new commissioners that may not know what the Curtis Schwartz Award is all about. Starting back in 1983, the city created what was called then the Cityscape Award. And it was to recognize outstanding construction, design, restoration, artistic, everything from sculptures, whatever, to enhance the artistic value of Oklahoma City. After Curtis Schwartz, who was a prominent Oklahoma City businessman, died in a plane crash in 1985, the council renamed it the Curtis A. Schwartz Cityscape Award. This is offered every 2 years. However, the last time it was given was 2015. We had a sterling silver bowl that was in the office of the mayor that had all the recipients and their projects on it. That bowl got full and there's no more room for recipients of this award. So I've been working with Art Fusion Studio to come up with some ideas for a new award that could be potentially either in the mayor's office or maybe in the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs for new awardees. So with that in mind, are there any questions about what this award is? Is everyone familiar with it? I'd be glad to entertain questions.
I would like to comment on it.
Please, Commissioner Cooper.
Well, when that award was instituted, it was many years prior to our adoption for the 1% for Arts award. And it was a way to recognize people and businesses that really went out of their way to try to bring art to the city and art projects to the city, things that enhanced our landscape or affected maybe a view of quality of life. And now that we have the 1% for arts, I'm not saying we should do away with the award because I think it's still a good award, but I think maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to have a committee to kind of rethink how we want to recognize companies or individuals who contribute to the city, because it's taken a little bit different form. It's because the city is, in fact, we do have art, and we're actively installing art throughout the city, and it's not as much of an incentive to private individuals to do so, because we have our own program for art. So I guess I just suggest that maybe we'd figure out a way to keep the award, but handle it in a little bit different way to make it perhaps more meaningful.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. And thank you, Commissioner Stewart, for that history lesson. I have been on the commission, I'm not one of the newbies anymore. And I had no idea who Curtis Schwartz is or the meaning behind this award. Thank you again for sharing that with all of us. Commissioner Cooper, since you spoke up, it sounds like you, me, and staff, and Commissioner Stewart probably need to have a conversation. So looking forward to it all. Moving on to agenda item 4D rather. Integrated 1% for arts projects. Commissioners Hassenbeck and Loftus. Hassenbeck is not here, but Commissioner Loftus, are you still with us? Is there anything you would like to share about this?
I am still with you guys. Robbie, help me here. What are we talking about?
This is one that I have not been able to schedule yet, but we've written up all the background for the committee, and we hope to try to get the committee together in the next 30 days with a lot of examples to show them about some of the problems we're having with the integrated art projects.
Sounds great, and it also sounds like we'll have a report at a future meeting. Moving on to agenda item 4E, something else we can probably strike from our agenda because we just spoke to this and took action on it, correct? Robbie?
Yes.
Moving on to agenda item 5, report from staff. Robbie, please.
So the staff report is in your packet, and I won't go over that, but what I will say is that Randy and I are meeting later this week to discuss the current work plan. I know there's some concern from both of us about our capacity to continue to handle the number of smaller projects that he's been selecting and completing, and also still maintain the kind of control we need to have on some of the larger ones so that they don't get out of control. And so we'll be working on that quite a bit, and hopefully you'll see then a new work plan with new projects selected for the coming fiscal year at your next meeting.
Thank you, Robbie. Moving on to agenda item 6, comments from commissioners. 6A, items from the chair. The only thing that I would add is that please check in with your favorite arts organization. Many of our arts organizations are trying to reinvent themselves or rethink how they reach visitors, their audiences, those that they engage with. I won't shamelessly plug the museum, okcmoa.com, that was shameless, but we have a lot of virtual things happening, as well as our friends at Oklahoma Contemporary, our performing arts organizations, and probably the best place to start is our United Arts Fund, Allied Arts. They can, visiting their website can lead you to all of their member agencies and all of the wonderful organizations. Just plugging along to make sure that we have rich and vibrant lives full of the arts. Moving on to agenda item 6B, items from other commissioners, please. Commissioner Stewart, please.
I would highly recommend that you contact your member of the House and express your opposition to the House taking over the Betty Price Gallery for a conference room.
Thank you, Commissioner Seward.
Yeah, John, I was going to share the same idea. I can't tell if it's a fait accompli. It seems like it may be, but how sad to lose ground floor space for that beautiful gallery for a conference room. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Thank you, Commissioner Salyer.
And that would be a huge conference room at 4,400 square feet.
Yeah. Liz, what do you have a sense of whether we have any?
You know, the letter that was sent out to us, it gave me a sense that perhaps if we voice our concern, we might be able to get their attention. I don't know, Meg, if it's a done deal yet or not, but I think we should be noisy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like us. Noisy.
I contacted Brad and Kim Henry, and this facility was put together when he was governor, and he's not happy about the situation. And so I think there's some people that are working it pretty hard, and but it is a fabulous architectural piece, and those things are very hard to come by. They're very expensive, and it's already in place. And what do you do with the collection? It's just a mind-boggling concept from another one of our politicians.
Well, and Jim, I think it's important to point out, particularly during these times, I mean, that collection reflects the cultural diversity of this state.
Yes.
And I mean, it's really, really important that we somehow keep it accessible to the public and at the state capitol.
And it's just gone through that magnificent renovation, and you know, the opportunity to draw people from all over the country and all over the world to see this beautiful capitol, to take away its art gallery, just, it doesn't make any sense. But never mind, of course it doesn't. That's neither here nor there.
Well, I thought we might expand the gallery into the House conference room upstairs and see how they like that.
Jim, do you think we should get Governor Walters to chime in too? Can we get
I
a
think
coalition
it's
of
a good
governors?
idea. I think it's a good idea. I'll do that.
Okay.
I love this because I'm cautious because of the role of the Arts Commission and our role within the city. However, we are very passionate, and we are on this commission for a reason. And letting something like this happen quietly that doesn't sound like us. I hope all of you, yes, Commissioner Kovach.
Actually, in line with what you're saying, and this is probably better for Rita and staff, do we contact our legislators as private citizens, or can we contact them as arts commissioners?
The way I understand it is that we're not taking action. This body is not making a collective motion, and we're recommending.
That's not what I mean. I mean, if I send a letter to Kay Floyd, do I say, I'm an arts commissioner, please don't do this? You know, is that ethically acceptable, or should I just say as a citizen of Oklahoma?
Well, you're all all appointed arts commissioners, you can act independently. You just cannot act as a body
Right.
on this particular matter because your role for the city is to provide perpetual advice to the mayor and council. So, but you are an appointed arts commissioner.
So then that would be yes.
As long as you're not suggesting in your letter that you're acting on behalf of the Arts Commission. You're acting
Understood.
as Stephen Kovach, an individual, an appointed Arts Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, Rita.
I've been texting Robbie the whole time, so what she said is accurate. You're not taking official action as a body. You're taking it as individuals who also happen to be arts commissioners. So if you say, I happen to be an arts commissioner for Oklahoma City and this is what I think, that's different from all of us on the Arts Commission say this, because you didn't have that on your agenda to say. So yes, as individuals, feel free to say what you'd like, but not in the name of the commission as a body.
Thank you, Rita. Any other comments or questions?
The one thing I did want to say, Chairman Chambers, while we've been on this call, the city of Oklahoma City sent out their media release about COVID response funds for nonprofit art organizations through Allied Arts. And so as of now, the doors are open for Allied Arts to accept applications for COVID funds from the city's community development block grant dollars up to $24,000 per organization for COVID relief. And I believe that this money is supposed to go directly to pay for artists and programs in CDBG qualifying areas.
Fantastic. And again, they should, anyone interested should visit Allied Arts website or contact them, correct?
Correct, yes.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Moving on to agenda item 7, comments from citizens. Hearing none, there being no other items, this meeting will adjourn. Our next meeting is on Monday, August 17th at 4 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.